Welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex Lord. Carson Beck has officially been named the starter for Week 1 for the Georgia Bulldogs. If you followed this show throughout the offseason, we've talked a lot about the Bulldogs, especially Jake, who's very plugged in, huge Georgia fan. He's not here on the show today. He'll be back tomorrow. I'm sure we can talk more about it tomorrow. This is not a surprise. This is who it was expected to be. You know, he was the backup last year. He looked good as a backup. Now, I'm not as high on Jake as those backup minutes mattering a ton, but he looks good. And listen, and this is no disrespect to Stetson Bennett, but Stetson Bennett was not the most talented quarterback at the University of Georgia. He made some of the biggest throws in University of Georgia history, maybe two, three, or four of the biggest throws in the history of the program. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he is a legend. He should get a statue outside of the stadium. But as far as talent goes, there's no drop-off here. In fact, Carson Beck might be even more talented. And I really think the biggest key to Georgia's offense isn't this quarterback controversy. I think Gunnar Stockton, Vandergriff, or Beck could go in there with the talent that they have and have a lot of success. They're all super talented quarterbacks. My biggest thing that I'm interested to see about Georgia's offense is the offensive coordinator. Losing Monken is a huge deal. And I know, and the Mike Bobo thing, I know he was there last year. I watched Mike Bobo. This is Mike Bobo was the offensive coordinator when I was wearing this regularly. It was not something that people were in love with. So
people hated Mike Bobo.
Yeah. So I'm saying, yes, I know he was part of the thing, but listen, losing offensive coordinators. I mean, you remember 2019 losing Joe Brady, like. He wasn't even the offensive coordinator, but everyone kind of knew he was the mind behind everything there. Obviously, LSU lost a lot more. There was a big drop-off. Like, these coordinators matter. And you've seen it with time and time again with Nick Saban. It's going to keep happening with Kirby Smart. But not every time you nail it like Kirby Smart has. I mean, he's been nailing it time and time again. And this is the point of why he's been able to sustain success. Not just bringing in talent, bringing in coordinators, replacing coordinators. That's the biggest key to me that I will be watching with this Georgia offense. It's not Carson Beck's talent. That guy can make any throw. I mean, if this offense is humming like last year, I think Carson Beck could be a Heisman candidate. But I'm interested to see how it looks with Mike Bobo calling the shots full time.
I think it's going to maybe take a little bit of time to mesh and glue, both parties and the actual offense as a whole. But I'm super confident. And it took one video for me to kind of be like, oh, okay. Carson Beck sat down with Aaron Murray. I sent it to you yesterday. And just listening to him talk about the obsession he has with being great, like he wants to get one of his own national championships. Yes, he has 2 national championships, but he did not win them. I am a full believer. He talked to Aaron Murray about how he needs to be on the same page with his wide receivers. And this is something not like the average football fan understands. They just think, Mike Bobo calls in a play, the receiver runs the same route, and the quarterback throws it to option 1, option 2, or option 3. That is not how it works. Depending on what the defense gives you, receivers have to run different routes, whether it's zone or man. So in man, you just got to beat the guy lining up across from you. That's a different route than zone, where you're trying to find space. And Carson Beck talked about that. It's not only the receiver has to know what to do, the quarterback has to know the receiver knows what to do so that they're on the same page. And he was emphasizing that to Aaron Murray. And it made me take a step back and think, this guy might be, for real in terms of up here. Just like Chase said, he's got more talent than Stetson Bennett. There's no doubt about that. But Stetson Bennett had that, it factor. Like Baker Mayfield was never the most talented quarterback in the country, but he always put up video game numbers because the system obviously benefited Baker Mayfield, no doubt about that. But he had that swagger, up here, he had it figured out. And it seems like Carson Beck has got that side of the game. At least he understands that's the next step he needs to take. I really think that this Georgia team, they're going to waltz into the college football playoff, even if they don't win the SEC championship, which most people expect them to do. They're still going to get a bid to the college football national championship or the playoff. And once you get there, it's anybody's game, obviously. And when you have talent like Georgia does, and I know they're losing, 10 guys to the draft or 11 guys to the draft, the offensive coordinator, like you mentioned, they did that after the first national championship. Not Todd Monken, but they lost, a record amount of players to the NFL draft. And Kirby Smart's recruiting at such a level that it doesn't matter. It's just a factory that replenishes itself. I think Carson Beck, or like you said, any quarterback for that matter, is set up for success in Athens.
Yeah, I mean, Carson Beck, I mean, listen, everything I've seen from Carson Beck, and it hasn't been a lot, but if you go look at his spring game, you go look at how he came in as a backup in the national championship and at times during the regular season. I mean, he passed all those with flying colors. You listen to him talk, he passes that with flying colors. So you talk to his teammates, he's the first guy in and the first guy out. We haven't seen him really play in big moments and big games, but he can only do what he can control. He can only do what he can control. And every stage so far,
he's checking boxes as he goes.
He's impressed me. And listen, as much as people talk about it as a quarterback competition, and there are two other good quarterbacks there, I don't think it was ever much of a competition.
I agree.
Because he's checking all those boxes. He's earned this, and I think they're in fantastic hands with Carson Beck. Coming up after the break, we're going to talk the NL MVP race. Is it closer than Braves fans really think?